Good morning, students. So, in previous class, we already discussed a brief overview about the image processing and computer vision. Okay, so today we are going to continue these books. We already discussed about the books of the image processing and computer vision tools, which we have already discussed that we are going to follow MATLAB and Python. After that, we already have an idea about the computer graphics, image processing, and computer vision. These an overview about these things we already discussed. What is a digital image that we previously discussed, as well as we also saw uh, in MATLAB tool, we saw how digital images can be analyzed as well as it can be how it can be read through the MATLAB tool. Okay. Now, if we are moving on digital image processing, so first of all, you must know about the digital image. Yeah, definitely. We already discussed about the digital image. So, a digital image is what? It is a two-dimensional function. Okay. Two-dimensional function means that any function which can represent the information in the form of the 2D matrix. Okay, so the information that definitely, if we are talking about the image, the information digital image can be represented in two ways. Okay, so remember that point. And the digital image uh, generally can be represented in two ways. First way is continuous form. Continuous form means that we can represent a digital image in the form of 2D signals. Okay, and that definitely, when we are talking about signals, that means the information is stored in the form of the frequency. Okay, but if we are talking about the digital image, then that information, that 2D signal can be if that 2D signal can be converted into in the form of the discrete form. Okay, so at that time, in discrete form, and the information can be represented in the form of the discrete values. Okay, discrete values means that we are talking about the pixel values. Okay, so uh, if we have a 2D matrix, then definitely there should be a position, which means we have a coordinate values, and over the coordinate values we have to find the intensity value, and that if intensity value can be estimated, can be calculated with the help of this 2D function fxy. Okay, and where this x and y are the spatial coordinates. Spatial means here we are talking about in the form of the resolutions. Okay, and if we are talking about this f, so the amplitude of f is called intensity or gray level at the point of x and y. So ultimately, this pixel value, this intensity value are representing the amplitude value of that signal. Okay, and that amplitude value can be calculated with this f function fxy. Okay, now this is how we can collect the intensity values, pixel values, and accordingly 2D matrix can be arranged, and then that 2D matrix can be represented in the form of the digital image. As we already in our previous lecture we saw in MATLAB tool that how we can represent a digital image in the form of the 2D matrix. So that matrix contains basically uh, pixel value and the pixel value and with a specific coordinate values. Now, if we are talking about the digital image processing, so digital image processing It is basically, now the new term comes, processing. Processing means that we have to process over the digital images. So we have to perform operations, number of operations, and definitely that number of operations can be processed over the image. Then simply it these kind of process basically known as the digital image processing. Okay, and it basically covers three categories. The processing of digital images are uh, generally divided into three categories, three broad categories: low level processing, mid level processing, and high level processing. So these are the processing. Ultimately, if we are talking about the low level processing, so it means that we are talking about the input images and the output images, and in through the input images we are doing the work over the pixel values, and simply we are producing the output images. So such kind of operations, like if we are talking about the image enhancement, okay, such type of operations can be performed under the low level. Okay, and if we are talking about the mid levels, so in mid level we are basically um, providing the outputs that are in the form of the attributes which are extracted from the input images. So here we are collecting some information, some attributes, okay, in the form of the outputs. Okay, and if we are talking about the high level processing, then definitely it is for the purpose of understanding, recognition, okay, of individual objects from the input images. Okay, that high level processing basically comes under the computer vision part. Okay, so that in detail we are going to discuss in further slides. And pixel, if we are talking about the pixel, yes, we know about the pixel, the elements of digital image, which means the intensity value. Okay, every pixel have their own value, which represents ultimately what, the gray level or color value. Okay, so each pixel contains a value, and that value depends on the type of the image. Definitely we have broadly three types of image. Okay, so the image may be black and white image. Okay, so if the digital image is black and white image, so there are only two shades. One is black and the other one is white. So in that case, what are the pixel values? The pixel values can be only 1 or 0. Okay, 0 represents what? 0 represents black value, and 1 represents white value. So this is how we can perform operation over the pixel value. Okay, now we are we have to understand how this image processing can be performed through the number of operations. So if we are understanding about the image processing operations, so as we can say that an image processing operation typically defines a new image. Okay, like you can see here, uh, in this mathematical equation, you can see here that we are producing a new image. Okay, this gxy, this is what, this is the output image which we are saying as a new image. Okay, and that new image is basically generated with the help of input image, this fxy. Here we, this fxy is representing uh, as an input image. Okay, so over this input image, when we are performing any transform means that we are performing any operation. Okay, so t here is representing that we are performing any operation over this input image, and definitely when the output image will be stored in the form of the new variable. So this gxy is here, it is showing as an output image. Okay, so this you can also write in the other form, like this other domain. You can write like this function for t x x y, t y y x y. It means what? That we are performing individually. Okay, so similarly you simply can understand that this equations can be simply rewrite in the form of this way. Ultimately it is showing that we are performing operation over the x direction as well as into the y direction pixels. Okay. Now definitely you got the point that we are performing number of operations uh, over the input images. Now, what kinds of operations can each perform? So now we have to focus on the operations, that what kind of operations can be performed over the input image so that the output image can be obtained. Okay, like here I'm showing digital image types. So this I already covered, that we have black and white image, we can have gray scale image, we can have colored image. Okay, so if we are talking about the black and white image, then definitely there can be only two shades, either black and white. So as I already told you, that this black portion representing what? It is showing the value, pixel value in the form of the 0. Okay, and where the shades are white, so that there you can obtain the pixel value as a 1. So this is how the pixels values, uh, through the pixel values you can simply say, you can simply analyze that we have this black and white image. Okay. And if we have grayscale image, so grayscale image contains basically more shades in compared to black and white. So the shade can be from black to white. There are many shades which are the combinations of black and white. Now if we are talking about the pixel value, so the range of pixel value um, for the grayscale image contains from 0 to 255. 0 is the minimum value of the pixel into the grayscale image, and 255, uh, this is the highest value which is obtained from the grayscale image, and this 255 can be generally known as a represent as in the form of the white color. Okay, so and white is the maximum, and the maximum range for this pixel value is from 0 to 255. So, and how this can be obtained? Generally, the pixel value are stored in the form of the 8 bits. Okay, so that 8 bits, if according to the 8 bits, if we have a formula like 2 ki power 8, okay, to the power n, n is what? Number of bits for the of the pixel value. So uh, generally by default we have 8-bit pixel values. So accordingly the range of gray level shades are depend on the number of bits of the pixel value. Okay, so if we have 8-bit pixels, then definitely we the pixel value range can be lie from 0 to 255. Why 255? Because if we are apply the formula like 2 ki power n, so n is what? Number of bits, so 2 ki power n is 8, so 2 ki power 8, that that means we are getting uh, total value is 256. Okay, 2 ki power 8 equal to 256. So 256 means that from 0 to 255, generally showing you 256 values. Total we have 256 values. So this is how we can obtain the, we can understand the about the grayscale image. If we are talking about the color scale image, so color scale image contains basically three channels, three different channels which are red color, red, green and blue. Basically there are three major components: red, green and blue. So red color channel blue color channel and green color channel. So in these are the three channels, so the range of pixel values are same for the color image also. It is what 0 to 25 is 255, it is also for the color image, but we have to multiply by 3. So that multiply by 3 indicating that we have three different components: red, green and blue. So as we already saw in our previous lecture in, into the MATLAB, that in color image it is showing that multiply by 3. Okay. So if we are talking about the types of process, okay, if we are talking about the computerized process types, or we can say image processing types, so as we already discussed, there are three categories: low level processing, mid level processing and high level processing. So in low level processing, what we have to do, we have to perform the operation, such as let's suppose we want to reduce the noise from these images. We want to improve the contrast. We have to perform the sharpness. Okay, such kind of operations, enhancement operations. Okay, such type, which can be directly performed over the pixel values, then such type of operation comes under the low level processing. If we are talking about the mid level process, so in mid level process, what we have to do, we have to use the input images, and as a output we have to find out the attributes, or we can say we have to extract the information of the attributes in the terms of like edges, contours, identify of individual objects. So such kind of informations can be obtained through the mid-level process. Okay, in detail we are going to discuss in future slides, future lectures. Okay. And to obtain these things, to obtain this information, we have number of operations, like segmentation is one of the major tasks. Okay, so with the help of segmentation operation, we can obtain such kind of informations like edges, contours. Okay, in segmentation, what we have to do, we have partition an image into the regions or objects. Okay, so our segment means that we have to divide the image in the form of the regions or objects. We have to perform the description of those objects to reduce them to a form suitable for computer processing. So ultimately, with the help of description concept, we have to identify the objects and for the suitable processing. Okay, and finally we can also perform the classification operations of the object, so that we can perform the operation for the purpose of recognition. Okay, so such kind of things can be done under the mid-level processing. Okay, so these terminology definitely, maybe it will not clear you right now, but when we are going to discuss in detail, because we are going to cover all these topics, like segmentation is itself a topic, description, classification, all are the separate topics which we are going to cover in our future lectures. So here you need to just take an idea that what is segmentation. Segmentation is what, that it is such a kind of operation, so that where the image is partitioned or divided in the form of the objects or regions. Okay, similarly, classification is basically used for the purpose of recognitions. And if we are talking about the descriptions, so descriptions of those objects are basically used to reduce them in the form of a form, to produce a form of the object, so that it can be processed for the further operations. Computer The third level is high level processing. As I already told you, it is basically for the purpose of image analysis and computer vision, where we have to perform understanding, and through the understanding we have to uh, predict some information. So that kind of operations comes under the high level processing. So all things will be covered in detail in our future lectures. Now, before uh, moving about the digital image processing, you must understand about the fundamental steps of digital image processing, fundamental concepts about the digital image processing. So this uh, complete block diagram, you can see here there are number of operations, number of approaches which through these operations complete digital image processing can be performed. Okay, so one by one we are going to discuss here. So first of all, we have image acquisition. Okay, so image acquisition is what? So the image which is captured by a sensor, okay, such as camera, and digitized if the output of the camera or sensor is not already in digital form by using analog to digital converter. Okay, as I already told you that if you want to take an image, okay, by using a camera, okay, by using any device, so definitely on that device in there is a inbuilt function that basically works in the form of the analog to digital converter. So ultimately that device is, as you can see here in this blow diagram here, first of all, if you want to take a picture, definitely there should be a source on energy, there should be light which produce the environment to generate the image. We have a device, through that device, inside the device definitely there should be a sensors, and definitely these these kind of devices where have sensors and a capability to convert analog to digital form. So such kind of um, uh, operation basically comes under the image acquisition. Image acquisition is basically representing the devices where we have sensors and we have such kind of facility where the analog to digital converter can be performed. Okay, so in by internal processing of the analog to digital converter, the signals first of all the signals are received. Okay, the signals are received by the sensors, and then those signals are basically going to be converted in the form of the discrete values with the help of analog to digital converter. Then only we can produce the images. Okay, so the main role to generate the image is with the help of image acquisition. Now we have next step, that is image enhancement. So image enhancement means what? That we have to perform such kind of operations, process, or manipulation on an image, input image, so that the result of input image is should be more suitable than the original image. Okay, so such kind of operations, like if we want to improve the contrast, like we want to improve the brightness, so such any kind of operations, okay, which we want to improve the quality of the images, such kind of operations basically comes under the image enhancement. Okay, like this in this below diagram you can see here, this here the contrast is high of the input image, so the as a output image the contrast is reduced, so, and the brightness is increased. So this is how we can mm, we can get the output with the help of image enhancement concepts. Okay, so the operations, there are definitely there are n number of operations. So in detail we are going to discuss in our future lectures. We have image restoration concept. Okay, third, our main major task of image processing is image restoration. So image restoration basically works for the purpose of improving the appearance of an input image. Okay, if let's suppose the, as you can see here in this we have this input image where the quality is very degraded. Okay, and by performing the restoration operation, restoration means that restore restore means that we want to get the real original information. We want to get original information. Okay, so there is a slightly difference between the image restoration and image enhancement. So image enhancement means that we want to improve the quality. Okay, but in image restoration we want to not exactly improving, we are not exactly improving the quality, we are ultimately trying to get the original information. Okay, so let as you can see here in this first image, there is a degraded by, there is blurring, there is noise. So by removing blurring, by removing noise, we are getting the restored image. This is the original form of the image. We are not enhancing the image, we are actually restoring the information. We are trying to get the original form of the image. Okay, so definitely for the purpose of that thing like blurring, noise, there these kind of problems. So such kind of problems can be removed by the image restoration. Okay, so that detailed part will be covered in their respective in the future lectures. Similarly, we have another kind of operations like color image processing. So as you know all that if we want to improve the colors, okay, so that colors can be, so color is a main features basically. So by using the color of an image, we can extract the features of interest in an image. Okay. So as an example, it is showing here. Here, this is the first image, input image. So the colors are going to be improved with the help of color image processing concepts, and the output is this one. So this is one major operation where we have to utilize the concept of the color image processing to improve the colors in the form of the output images. We have another concept that is wavelets. Wavelets are basically the foundation of representing images in various degrees of resolution. So wavelet is a complete mathematical and approach, or a, we can say, a more informatic tool where the images are basically uh, divided in the form of the in the form of the different resolutions. So if we want to get different resolution of the input images, so we definitely we can use the wavelet. Wavelet, actually it is known as wavelet transform. So we have, with the help of wavelet transform, we can get number of resolutions of the images, and with the help of number of resolutions we can perform any n number of operations. Like if you want to perform image enhancement, if you want to perform image compression, if you want to perform image restoration, so all that operations can be performed by obtaining different number of resolutions. So that different number of resolutions can be obtained through the wavelets. Compression, as you know all that compression means that we have to reduce the size, storage size. Okay, if we want to reduce the storage size of the image, then that time definitely we have to require the compression techniques. So under this step, we have to learn the compression techniques. So with the help of compression techniques we can reduce the size of the images. Okay, let's suppose if we want, let's suppose that we have an input image where the size of that input image is 10 kb, and so if we want to reduce that size, so from 10 kb to 5 kb, so that for that purpose definitely we require the compression technique so that that 10 kb can be reduced with the lower size. We have another fundamental steps, that is morphological processing. Morphological processing, it is one of the important tool of the digital image processing. It is basically for extracting image components that are useful in the representation and description of the shape. So uh, if we have an input image, so if we want to extract the image components are, it can be any object, it can be edges. So if we want to extract such components, so we have morphological operations. So with the help of morphological operations, we can extract such image components, and that its image components can be useful for the purpose of representation and description of the shape. Okay, so after that we have another major task, that is image segmentation. Segmentation, as I already discussed, that segmentation basically is a technique where we have to divide or partition the input image in the form of the different parts and in the form of the objects as well as in the form of the different regions. So definitely there, for that purpose we have a number of algorithms and techniques. So that techniques we will cover under the image segmentation. So here we are just giving an overview about the image segmentation. We have another approach of the digital image processing, that is representation and description. A representation is what? A representation that basically helps to make a decision whether the data should be represented as a boundary or as a complete region. So actually what is the representation of the object? So if we want to represent the object, so we have to found the boundary. Okay, so according to the boundary representation or region representation, we can basically uh, give a decision, so that this is what kind of this object is there. So it is almost always follows the output of a segmentation stage, and it is basically categorized in the form of the boundary representation, region representation. Boundary representation is what? It basically produce uh, external shape characteristics such as corner and inflections. So if an image uh, have external shape characteristics like corners and inflections, so such kind of representation comes under the boundary representation. And if we are talking about the internal properties like texture, skeleton shape, okay, so such type of basic representation comes under the region representation. Okay, so if you simply, if we want to say that description means that it is basically called feature selection. Feature selection basically deals with the extracting attributes that result in some information of interest. So what features are you are dealing with? So if you want to extract such features, so such concept can be come under the description. Find out the feature selection, so you can perform the description operations. Okay, and definitely these kind of representations and fit descriptions are basically helpful to recognize the information from the images. Okay, so as I already told you that the main feature of this recognition and interpretation are basically that it basically process that assigns the label to the object, basically get the information for the purpose of description. It means that with the help of description techniques you can obtain the shape, you can obtain the description. So with the help of these description techniques, with the analysis of the object mm, recognition, uh, the complete recognition part of the images can be performed. Lastly, we have knowledge base step. So as we saw here, knowledge base means that we can obtain all things. Okay, like if we are doing performing image and enhancement, if we are performing image compression, restoration, morphological operation, representation, wavelet, okay, all that basically contain produce the knowledge about a problem domain. So if definitely when we are doing image processing, first of all, if we have a problem, so then only we have to requirement of digital image processing. Okay, so let's suppose the quality of we want to improve the quality of the image. It means the problem is quality of the image. So if we want to improve the quality of image, so definitely and we have to collect the information, and all that information is collected by the knowledge base. So knowledge about a problem domain is coded into an image processing system in the form of a knowledge database. So ultimately, by obtaining the information, by obtaining the features, by obtaining the characteristics, features, okay, so all that information can be kept under the knowledge database, and with the help of that database, we can uh, solve the problems by using the digital imaging operations. And for that purpose, we have required the knowledge database so that the problem can be removed with the help of digital image processing concepts. Okay, so this is what we are discussed here about the fundamental steps of digital image processing. So, okay, we already discussed about the image acquisition, image enhancement, restoration, color image processing, wavelets, image compression, morphological processing, segmentation, representation, and description, object recognition. If you want to track the any object, let's suppose we want to track the car, okay, through the videos. So at that time we have to perform the recognition concept so that any object can be recognized. Okay, so all these here I am just giving an overview about these digital image processing steps. So one by one we are going to continue covered all these topics like image enhancement. So there are n number of operations. So in detail we are going to discuss in our next lecture. Okay, students. So if you have any query related to them, then we are going to discuss these things and these kind of your queries also. And so that we have next discussion class. So on that class we are going to discuss your all queries. Okay, thank you.